MyCallCloud, we keep your calls clear. Support so smooth, your clients cheer. Smart tech powering your team all day. MyCallCloud, the cloud call away.
Welcome to the MyCallCloud Podcast. Today we have co-host Raymond Stover and Noah Cease.
Thank you, Noah. Happy Tuesday, everyone.
Welcome, everybody. So we're talking about an industry-related topic that is super complicated. We get different information from different vendors we talk to. How do you use BCID?
Right. And how do you use it? And it seems like the technology is a little obfuscated and we have to go to secondary providers for the service, and it's locked up at the telco level. We can't, although we are a telco in our own right, we can't go direct to AT&T and T-Mobile and Verizon.
Right.
We have to go through a secondary provider, and they tell us different things.
They all tell us different things. What we're talking about today is branded caller ID, right? And there's two different flavors of it, as we understand it today: in-band and out-of-band branded caller ID.
Right. And the in-band is in sync with the network, right? That's where the shake and stir tokens that we're sending out for these call requests that we're making, and that it goes through the telecom networks and is delivered all the way through to the far end device as BCID. There's, it's a standard within the telecom industry that T-Mobile started with and then Verizon adopted. And it's that branded caller ID where the consumers will see the company name that's calling, possibly the reason for calling, possibly the logo. And you laugh because we've not seen a whole lot of success.
No.
And that's part of the in-band solution, right? There's an out-of-band solution where information is just getting pushed across, but that isn't really controlling that branded caller ID, not at the micro level where the technology is really talking with the devices at the far end,
right,
all the way through the network and clean handshake with the Verizon or T-Mobile networks. And we see that AT&T has not jumped on board. There's rumors of it happening, but they've not adopted it. So AT&T, any branded call on their network is simply just a request, and it's coming over the out-of-band signaling, so that hopefully we trump the CNAM on the call, and hopefully there is caller ID on that far-end device.
I mean, this mess was, like you were saying, it's obfuscated. We're not being told the truth in many cases. Delivering logos on a call, that's not really happening. It only happens if you have a software development kit and an app installed on somebody's phone. And you're in band. Right. You got to have that extra oomph and that extra cost. And it's so interesting. I thought what you were going to say is it's very interesting that the branded caller ID, and we should talk about how people use it, why they use it. Yeah. But it's interesting that the branded caller ID is still in a bit of its infancy, and there's a lot of questions about it. And, the deliverability is pretty good, right? Our clients have seen a lot of improvement. Their contact rates go up because, the beauty of it is when it does work, it's not showing spam or possible scam or there's none of those designations at the telco level that would scare people off from answering the phone, right? They're seeing a real company name coming through on the phone. Except it still can be. There can still be a scam likely on that particular call, even with branded caller ID, as we understand it.
I haven't heard that.
Well, even in that demo we went through with Numerical the other day, they had that section where is something being flagged as scam likely? Is there a label, right? And that's still in the dashboard for branded caller ID. Ridiculous.
Yeah, people are paying extra money on top of telco charges, paying extra money. And this is a problem that the telcos have helped create.
Yeah.
Right. And I thought that's where you were going to go with the comment is that, this is a problem that the telcos have created because they're spam flagging calls, right? They're relying on third party devices, networks and companies and devices to give them feedback, and they're taking it in without question. And then they're, okay, spam flag, spam flag, spam flag,
Yeah.
of all these legitimate business calls.
Yeah.
And now, we're trying to come up with solutions to overcome spam flagging at the telco network.
That's ridiculous.
And it is.
I mean,
And
it does
there's-
work.
there's-
It works. We've seen firsthand that it is functioning and it's working for the majority, right?
Right.
But I mean, this is not a cheap thing to do either, right? So if you're going for Grease Monkey is one of my favorite examples, right? Your car's done, they can't call you. It goes to spam. Well, I mean, not all the time, but a majority of the time, if they're making more than 50, 60 calls a day, which they do, right? And they have automation built into that. There's all kinds of small businesses that are impacted by this. Remember the dog salon people that came to us the other day? They have a dog salon. It was that contact, that soccer coach contact that we were speaking with, Brian. And their calls are going out on their corporate account as spam scam.
Yeah. As our dog wash company that we use,
Yeah.
I had asked them, and it's like, well, you didn't come through as spam scan, it didn't come through as that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Why is that? What did you guys do? Oh, well, we're using our personal cell phones now.
They're using
not
their
they're not using the corporate phone system because spam flagging, and people wouldn't pick up their dogs, and we weren't, and I'm avoiding spam flags too, and
Yeah. Your dog is done. Your dog wash is complete. The trimming of the nails, whatever.
yeah, your dog is ready to go home.
Come get your dog. Wait, I never got a call from you. Yeah. Is my dog ready? You got to call in, be like, is my dog ready? What's going on here? It's been 2 hours.
Yeah, at least in my case, I would see the call come in, it's spam, and I just dismiss it. But on some phones and some networks,
Yeah.
because it's spam flagged, it's not even getting delivered
Right.
to that cell phone.
Or
and
if
we
you-
as providers, we get charged sometimes for those non-connect calls.
Absolutely. we do.
Unbelievable.
I know. It's ridiculous. And the thing is, we were talking about this last week too, is that some people just turn on the spam filtering and then the call never comes to them. Mm-hmm. Right. So your dog is done. Your car is done. You need to go get your personal property, your dog or your car.
Yeah.
You
Or
can't
your
get it.
medical professional needs to contact you, or your kids' school needs to contact you. And, the calls are getting spam filtered out at multiple levels.
And we're talking about a cost that's not, a penny a delivery. We're talking about 11 to 16 cents a delivery. In band, with logo, with reason for call.
High quality, get the word out. Right. People will pick up the phone calls, but for the small to medium-sized businesses here in North America, that can be an economic challenge, right? I can see the Fortune 500, they're willing to spend thousands of dollars a day on these calls so that they get their calls through.
Yeah, I mean, if you make 100 calls a day, dog wash, for example, and it's 16 cents a call, well, now you're adding $160 to your bill per day for call delivery.
Yeah.
Well, they're already cutting into the margin that is super thin for those places, right? That they don't operate on huge margins.
No, they
You
don't.
know? So you could pick up your personal cell, call the owner, their dog's done. I mean, what a solution. You can't use your business phone system. You have to use your own personal cell phone to tell people their dogs are ready to come pick up.
Or your staff has to use their cell
Yeah,
phones.
your staff, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, let's say your business, let's say you provided that for your business, right? You didn't want your staff using their cell phones. Well, now you have, 2, 3 cell phones for your business that you're calling out on, whether it's $50 a month. It's still $150 a month to make those calls out.
And those cell phones, those burner phones, or just dedicated phones for the business, they're going to get spam flagged
Eventually.
with time, right?
Yeah,
People say, "Oh, I don't recognize this. I don't want this call."
We did, that the demo with Numerical the other day was was really interesting because one of the comments that Jennifer said was the algorithms they've recently started to change because they realized that they were impacting small business. And it was not working. Small businesses could not get their calls out. And so they had to go back to the drawing board. Again, this is not public input. There's no public input here. This is a committee run by the telecom industry, and they're deciding what the algorithms need to be. right? And they've impacted tons of small businesses, not just dog washes and oil change shops, but small insurance firms, right? Everything, hair salons.
Yeah. There's millions of small businesses here in America that depend on being able to communicate with the client base.
And that's what runs, I mean, small business is kind of the heart of America, right? I mean, we have, big Fortune 1000 companies, and we get that. But they're not providing dog washing services or oil changes or tire rotation or, car work, car repair. They're not doing that.
Yeah. Local services need local contacts. They need to be able to.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. And so the BCID, right? We started to touch on that. How do you use it? Why do you use it? And, I could open up the floor to you and why don't you tell me what you're seeing, Noah?
Well, I mean, first of all, how to use it is, it has to go delivery to a cell phone. Okay. We know that for a fact. You can't deliver branded caller IDs to landlines. It doesn't work that way. T-Mobile started this program in 2024. It was early 2024, if I remember correctly. And they were the first ones that started to deliver these branded caller IDs, but really kind of only on the T-Mobile network, right? So unless you had a device on the T-Mobile network, you weren't going to get a branded caller ID anyway, right? So, using some strategy related to who you're going to be making a call to, what kind of device you're going to be calling, the endpoint, which most of the time it's going to be a cell phone at this point, right? It's rarely is it going to be an office line, a landline, something of that nature, unless you're
especially if you're calling American consumers, right?
Yeah, unless you're business to business, right? If you're business to business and you don't have cell phones for businesses you're calling, branded caller ID is not going to work for you, right? It's only going to work on the cell phone networks. And then, of course, AT&T doesn't even allow in-band delivery at all, right? They haven't even joined this ecosystem. They're only out of band, which means it's not coming through the stir, shake, and token, right? It's not coming through the attestation process that stir, shake, and was developed to remove spam, scam likely from the networks, which it didn't do at all. Every telecom provider, including ourselves, is paying a yearly subscription to some service to provide the stir, shake, and token to even get our calls out.
Mandated by the government.
Mandated by the FCC.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. It's still not working.
It's improved.
Really?
Well, at least in my firsthand experience, we're not seeing so many in my household. We're not seeing these international numbers coming through.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not seeing the all zero caller IDs coming through. And so like the worst of the worst, call centers, the real scumbags in the world, they've been cut off. They've been cut out of the being able to have a telco in North America that will deliver their calls because those telcos are getting shut down and the FCC is coming after them saying, hey, you're allowing illegitimate traffic on your network. So,
we see these bulletins. We see the bulletins come across, who's getting flagged for this, bad behavior. Basically, just allowing your customers to do whatever. I mean, listen, we're supposed to know our customers, just like banking. Banking has changed. You can't not know your customer now. You have to know who they are, what their business is, what are they doing, because you're kind of attesting for them, right? Our attestation is tied to us. It's tied to our conduct. How are we operating as a business? What are our customers getting from complaint perspectives? Minimal, if any, per year. So it's, stir shaken. Thank you for at least calling out the bad actors, right? Getting that process going, getting some of those people off our telco networks, right? Every single time that happens for some provider, though, the telecom industry suffers, right? They can't bill, right? No toll charge. So, I mean, there's goods and bads here, and some of the bads may not outweigh the good, especially in these small business examples, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a small business and you need branded caller ID, how do you do it, right? You're going to have to reach out to a provider like us because you can't go directly to T-Mobile or Verizon or AT&T. They just won't even accept.
No, they won't even talk to you.
They won't even talk to you.
It's not a service they provide directly.
No, it's reseller only. That's it. You can call AT&T and get a phone.
Sure.
T-Mobile, Verizon, get a phone, but you can't get branded caller ID for your small business unless you go through a provider like us or somebody like us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a bunch of service providers. We've seen the rise of these service providers in the past 7-8 years, and they've been growing.
They have, yeah.
Because the demand is out there, right? There is a need to help people terminate their calls.
I mean, we have a great contact in Illinois. What's his name off the top of my head? Well, it'll come to me when we're talking about it. But he helps marketing processes for small businesses in Illinois and kind of all across the country, right? Insurance was his big thing, onesie-twosie seats, right? He's looking to do some sort of reseller relationship with us to leverage a little bit of a volume play.
Yeah, to help his customers that buy leads that need to make their phone calls out and have their calls complete.
Without spam scam likely. Yeah, the lead provider, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And he's, but it's interesting, right? He signs up a customer and instead of 20% of their calls completing, they're now seeing 80%, 70% of their calls completing. Right. And, the people are picking up. And so it's proving itself that it is working.
Yeah, and again, we've we've had this comment several times as we've been chatting about this topic. You want something, you've signed up for something online, you want somebody to call you for something. Here's a great example. I'm trying to get some dog training, and I don't know if they've called me or not. I have to correspond with them on text because I'm sure they've tried to call me. I told them I was available today at 1:00. No call. Did it go to spam? Probably. Sad.
It is. But, let's get back. I'm sure there's some listeners out there that are curious, well, how is it you use BCID? What do you use it for?
Yeah.
And, this is a prime example, right? If I'm a business owner and I pay for spam remediation services and I still need to get certain calls out with high reliability where people are going to pick up, well, then that's why I'd made that comment earlier about the Fortune 500. They can pay for every call that way, but the small businesses here in America, they need a solution where this is a high intent call. I've got to get it through. I do not want the spam flag designation on it.
Right.
So then that is an example. The come pick up your dog or the follow up sales call where the customer has indicated that they're interested and they want to talk. Well, other examples are first-time call attempts, second-time call attempts, and landing pages, right? If I build a landing page on, for a Facebook marketing campaign, and then somebody fills in that form and they say, hey, call me, I'm interested.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of those high-intent calls, and that's a great use for the branded caller ID where that BCID will send the call through, and then the consumer at the far end, they'll say, oh, it's Acme Corp. That's the landing page I was just on. I just filled out the form for more information and they're calling me, right? And that's, we take that lead in on MyCallCloud almost immediately. We're making that call within a minute or two and the consumer's, getting that call.
Yeah.
But if it's not branded, we run a risk of it being spam flagged and people not picking up those calls as opposed to, oh, this is just what I was looking for. I was expecting their phone call and the name matches what I saw on that landing page. There's a great example of how to use BCID to increase your contact rates. Yeah. I'll throw out a couple others. Appointment confirmations, right? A lot of call centers and businesses, they work to get that appointment made. And, that's great. They have the appointment, but how many times do the consumers, they forget about it or they need a little reminder to be there on time for that meeting.
Right.
And that's a great use, those reminder calls, those confirmation calls.
Right.
What else? What have you seen, Noah?
Well, oddly enough, I think we've had some anecdotal reports of people in our network getting inbound calls from scam likely, from customers calling in. Depending on how much their customers use their particular cell phone, right? If they're making more than 50 calls a day, which some people are, right? They're calling inbound to some of our customers, and we're seeing spam scam likely from a consumer calling in.
And then the telcos are sometimes blocking that inbound traffic?
Of course. How obscure is this, right? Somebody's trying to call in for a service or product, and they can't even do it. I mean, that's rare, but it's happening.
But it's happening, right? And that is interrupting business here in North America.
Yeah. Well, here in the United States, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know about Canada. Does Canada have anything going on for branded caller ID? I don't know if they do.
I don't know, but they also, they have Shaw Communications, and I don't know. Yeah, I think a lot of them are also using the big three here in North America too. So
yeah, they have to.
I got some friends up in Canada. I can ask them.
You should. What kind of spam scam likely stuff is going up in Canada? Yeah, it's just frustrating all around. Right, we're trying to provide decent quality service for our customers that are decent, operators. Right?
Legitimate companies,
Legitimate
right?
companies.
We're not bringing in the illegitimate ones. We're supporting legitimate small businesses here in North America. It's we're like a small business incubator here at MyCallCloud, helping businesses grow.
That's right.
And if the telcos are interrupting and intercepting these calls, either whether they're inbound or outbound, it's interrupting traffic. It's interrupting business.
You had an interesting point the other day. We were talking about what the state of telecom is going to look like in 3 to 5 years, and you're like, well, Elon might take over. He might take over the telecom space and just run everything over his satellites. Right?
Yeah.
It's all wireless. It's all satellite communication now. Anyway, you don't even need cellular connectivity. It's satellite connectivity works just as well. It's a data connection. Right? I can imagine him rolling out phone service on X.
I can imagine it too. Well, it's already been spoken of, right? So,
yeah.
And Elon oftentimes may be wrong on his timelines, but his batting average for accuracy overall is super high.
I know. So, I mean, just really, we obviously keep the pulse on the industry weekly, monthly. Check in, what is going on, what are the changes, what is the FCC saying, who's been flagged this time.
Yeah, who's been, received a cease and desist, because some of the competitions have been shut down by the FCC until they can resolve their transgressions and how they're managing phone calls, right?
Exactly.
The whole shake and stir, there it gets back to the shake and stir, that it is helping to enforce and keep the bad actors in line.
Well, at least identifies the calls, right?
You can trace back to identify the source.
You can trace back the source, yeah. Which, I mean, helpful. Still painful, right? We had to set up the infrastructure to do it. That wasn't easy. That took a few weeks for us to just get through the infrastructure piece, the sign-up piece, the OCN piece,
time, money, energy, development time.
The $4.99 registration process, and there's no, experts out there offering services like that. There are a few now, I'm sure, but
at the time,
there was nothing.
It was new. You're trotting on new ground and having to follow those, right? You had received the instructions, right?
Yeah.
Were they really instructions? It was more like guidelines, right? And then you had to test it, and then you had to test it with each of the providers. It's not like, that standard was rock solid. You still had to test. I say you, right? Our technicians.
We did, yeah.
Right.
And then, of course, the providers themselves, they had different timelines. Not all of them rolled out Stir Shaken at the same time. Some had it on, didn't have us using it. It was a mess, We got it all cleared up, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, but still, it's not. It's still a mess, right? It's still companies trying to figure out how to even get into Stir Shaken environment, into that ecosystem. It's just a wild.
Got to jump through the hoops.
Can we go back to T1s? Go back to PRIs, please.
Go off hook. Yes. Dial tone.
That's why Grant Conyers, that's why his call center stack is interesting, because he's just using telecom.
Right. Yeah. Still
T1s.
Using just T1s, the traditional. Yeah. That's super interesting. And here we are. We're fully committed in on the voice over IP because it's efficient and and it works well. Years ago, the voice over IP traffic was crappy. The voice quality was bad. You couldn't make sales on poor quality audio. You still can't.
I know. Yeah, and then jitter, lost packets, all that stuff. That's all been solved.
Yeah, the routers, back in the day, the routers, they had to be specifically configured, or they didn't even really have coding in it for that whole SIP stack. And now they do by default. And, they're enabled for the RTP packets and
auto QoS, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. It's become easier, but still.
Thank you, Cisco, by the way. Cisco did a nice job making sure that we had what we needed to run that quality of service through and make sure our voice quality is the highest possible thing we can deliver for our customers.
Yeah, Cisco's definitely been on the cutting edge. I remember I got to play around with one of their early voice products, and gosh, it was 98, 99. We were making calls over VoIP on a Cisco network to the UK, and it was super clear.
Yeah.
But, there was also no SIP traffic at the time, and it was a dedicated, process.
It was a dedicated process, yeah. So, branded caller ID, how to use it, leave us a comment, hit us up. We'll help you through the process if you need to get some branded caller ID for your high-value calls.
Yep, happy to consult, help you answer questions, and help you make good decisions.
Thank you, everybody. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Bye, everybody.